Ah, succulent chicken Vesuvio. Imagine you gather up the finest ingredients for this magnificent dish and carefully lay them out to make sure you have everything ready to prepare it. If this was about making video, you might then tell your guests to run over and eat up all the ingredients right now. And they would say, hey, you know what that raw chicken tastes like? Raw chicken. Obviously, you wouldn't do that, but when you don't edit your videos, they can also leave a bad taste in your mouth, if not a mild case of trichinosis. In just a moment, you'll learn all about the one super critical part of editing that will make all your videos come out like chicken Vesuvio. Timing. Timing. Uh, this is why we can't have nice things. All right, let's play a thought game. We'll assume your background, lighting, audio, composition, and writing completely support your message. So your major raw ingredient in this video dish is the finest organic, non-GMO, grass-fed, free-range video possible. Welcome to the Visible Authority, where your invisible attributes become your most attractive ones. So you've done the work on the front end and shot a super video. Now what? Upload it to YouTube? After all, it's the best ingredient in your dish. But that would be like throwing the chicken in the oven all by itself. Yes, it's an ingredient, but your audience will prefer a little flavor. Now, the gurus understand that very well. They might take out their iPhones and make a little vacation video with no editing, but when they want their message to land, they'll spend thousands of dollars on a 1-minute intro. Why? Because they know they'll make it back in multiples. Making a video like that is worth the trouble, and you can. So let's look at what people normally miss about making these kinds of videos. It's deceptively simple. Like any tasty dish, a good video doesn't draw attention to all the ingredients. It directs your attention to certain ingredients by using timing. In video, timing isn't just one more ingredient. It's the one that releases the flavor of all the other ingredients. So, all we have to know about is the things that need to be timed. Let's look at the 3 most important elements that timing can turn into attraction. The first is your text. Anytime you add text, you should pay attention to 1, how long it takes to come on screen, 2, stay visible, and 3, how it exits. All 3 play an important part in how your text sinks in. If you're only looking at one of those, timing is not yet in your awareness. Here's how most videos bring in text. Boom! Yeah, I'm looking at the text all right, but it's like a spoonful of mashed potatoes dropped from the ceiling onto my plate next to the broccoli. Yeah, they might be tasty mashed potatoes, but right now I'm too busy looking at the hole in the ceiling to appreciate how they taste. In other words, it drew attention to itself. What do you do instead? Well, hold on, we're getting there. The next timing problem is when the text doesn't stay up long enough for me to read and absorb it. Or it bleeds into my next point, which is how to time taking the text out. So that's what we're talking about now. Timing of the taking of the text out. And okay. Really? Yeah, let's talk about how that should have happened. Here's a rule of thumb. A person should be able to read the text twice through before you even think about taking it out. But how do you take it out? Do you just make it disappear as quickly as it popped in, like a spoonful of mashed potatoes? Maybe, but I wouldn't. Most editing programs come with a set of default transitions, and in most cases, the default transition is a 1-second dissolve. That's enough time to signal that this topic is over without drawing attention to the transition itself. And you can use that same technique for bringing the text in. Then the in and out is kind of like a bookend effect. Now, this in and out business with text is pretty much the same with graphics. You don't, smash them in like Floyd Mayweather landing a haymaker on a barista. Oh, sorry, baristas. I'm sure there are some of you I wouldn't want to tangle with. Anyway, same with taking out the graphic. You don't take it away like your stupid brother typing your Willy Wonka candy bar that you spent 3 weeks saving your allowance for. Oh, did I say that out loud? The same 1-second dissolve should work here too. The second ingredient in this dish is the timing of your jump cuts. Jump cuts are when you go from long shot to close-up and back. The timing of these changes is based on which ideas you want to place more focus on at that time. You can randomly change these cuts, as many do in a ham-fisted attempt to keep you watching an otherwise terrible video, but a better way to time it is to base it on the time it takes to make the point in the new size cut. Oh, well, here's an example. Wait a minute. Okay, now I'm just getting nauseous. Well, obviously, you need to stay on the new shot at least long enough to make a whole point, not just a complete sentence. That was it. I'm not going to say anything more about this right now. Anytime now. So, cut to a new shot for emphasis on a point and stay long enough to make it, and make sure it's long enough that it doesn't draw attention to itself. The third thing, and the one that responds better to timing than almost anything else, is music. Let's say you've chosen the perfect piece of music. You know exactly what the volume should be so that it supports the message instead of overpowering it. And you're sure you're not going to get into any trouble with your distribution platform over rights. Now it's all about the timing, which means where and how it comes in and where and how it goes out. Pay a little bit of attention to this, and your video will instantly become more than the sum of its parts. For instance, when most people use music, they just plop their track down and forget about it. The music comes in like a freight train, plowing over everything in its path, destroying the message right along with it. And even if the message changes over time, the music doesn't. Actors call this playing the mood instead of playing the emotion. It takes your audience out of the moment and leaves them unchanged. But when you time where and how the music comes in, you can have a profound effect on how that message is received, and do it in a way that doesn't even call attention to itself. The timing of your text and graphics, your cuts, and your music are powerful reasons to edit your videos instead of just throwing them up on YouTube with the right keywords. Timing creates a seamless flow of elements you can layer in to build a more powerful message. Now, there are other aspects to editing that can have an even more profound effect on how your message is received. We've just looked at the temporal prime directive of editing, but all this assumes that the static elements are already in place. Let's not make that assumption, because if they aren't, you can have the best timing in the world and it won't make a bit of difference. In the next video in this series, we'll look at how to get the best text and graphic ingredients so you can make the tastiest, most transformative videos in your market. In the meantime, happy shooting.
Woo! Look at this chicken Vesuvio, man. I mean, seriously. Gotta eat it. Oh. Ah. I have not fuck. Oh. Yeah.